Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Let's just see who we've got in today so far. Welcome, Gail. Welcome, Mike. Sydney. Welcome back. Welcome, Valerie. And welcome back, Wayne. So I've got some regulars today. That's very nice. I'm without my co-pilot right now. He's joining. I'm sure he's joining. So very soon we'll see Connor. We'll welcome Connor to the call. I should just give him a nudge. How are we all today? Good morning. That sounds like it's said with a French accent, Wayne. Great. I'm glad you're doing all right. Good to see you, Valerie. Too early to tell, yeah. I mean, it's what's the time here? It's oh, hello, Connor. How are you? It's just gone 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, and it is still too early to tell how I'm feeling. How are you feeling, Connor? Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Yeah, I was saying it makes a change to have it on a later time than usual. So
it does.
Hopefully, it's a little bit more accommodating for especially for our American friends.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear. Yeah, I mean, we're always kind of gathering feedback. Oh, what's gone on with my funny screen there? That's odd. I've got my laptop on for a demo later, and it's just popped up a really awful picture of me. I think it's just trying to put me off. I'm going to just close that down. Yeah, experimentation with time. I thought we'd give it a go. So for the UK audience, it's 4 o'clock. Not sure what it will be for our European audience, but yeah, hopefully a slightly more sociable hour for our American audience and that side of the world. We're still not able to very easily cater for our Antipodean friends, are we? With the Australian time zones and New Zealand time zones.
I've never heard that word before. Antipodean. I've never heard that. That's new.
I made it up. Somebody help me here. That is a word, right? Antipodean? I think it is.
Sounds like something from Mary Poppins.
Well, you know, it might be. Google it. Antipodean, it's a word. It means people from the Antipodes. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I could just be making it up there.
According to a quick Google search, an Antipodean is a decorative piece for an altar.
What? Hang on, I'm going to have to counter this. An
Antipodean is a hanging for the front of an altar.
Well, do you know? I think it's derived from Antipodes, the point on the Earth's surface. I think it's to do with the North and South poles, and I think it's people who are on a different pole or opposite to us. I mean, honestly, I'm going to prove that. No, there you go, Antipodean, Connor, relating to Australia or New Zealand. I don't know how you've spelt it, but maybe it's in the spelling because it ain't an ornament. I'm just going to put it into the other chat just to prove that I'm not going off. No. Antipendium, that's something entirely different.
Well, that's what came up on the suggested words when I tried typing it in.
Well, I mean, interestingly, I wonder what the transcript is saying about that word that I've just used. Let's just have a look at the meeting transcript. Because I'm not recording it, it's not doing the transcript. Gail, that was Google that I typed in. Connor just made up a random word based upon my random word. So you know,
I used Bing, and then whatever I typed in didn't come up, so it gave me a list of suggestions.
Well, there you go. Welcome to the Weekly Digest, where we get to talk about words that John's made up.
Did we do this last week as well?
We might well have done. Maybe there's a theme here, Connor. I don't know. It's hard to say. I do like words. They just appear in my head sometimes, and I'm not entirely sure whether they appear in the right places. But like the great comedy sketch, we've got all the right words, just not necessarily in the right order. Bing just lost a point. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Google gets it right most of the time. Bing Bing's a bit. So how are you, Connor?
Yeah, I just think it's not a good look when we talk about Microsoft products, is it?
No. Spoiler alert, I'm not entirely sure things will get better today, but we'll see. Welcome back, Mark.
How is everybody today? Notice we got a fair few in, some the usual culprits as usual. Seeing if we've got any new names here that I've not seen. I've not seen Bart before, I don't think, potentially. Mark, I don't know how to pronounce your surname.
I recognise Mark's second name because I also couldn't pronounce it last time. Apologies, Mark. Ripco. Love it. Mike, I think you might be new to us.
Yeah. Can I just get a raise of hands? Who is new here today? Is this your first live that you've attended? Hey, welcome, Matt.
Welcome, Matt. Well, you're in for a treat, we hope. We don't just aimlessly amble. There is some good stuff we do talk about, we promise you.
Awesome. So yeah, it's nice to have you all here. So yeah, we have usually got quite a lot of stuff in store on a Monday for Weekly Digest. We have a look through the Daily Digest newsletter that comes up. We find a bunch of stuff that we think's valuable and that we potentially share. We have loads of discussions, both myself and John, and also the rest of the team as well, about various topics that are kind of appealing to us. And yeah, I think one thing to point out is we all kind of had a bit of a meet-up, didn't we, last week? Us at the Collab365 team, we all kind of met up in a little log cabin up in, I'd say, the north side of England, or the northern side of England, to where I am, to discuss the plans for the next kind of 3 months with Collab365. So there's a lot that we've discussed. I'm not sure how much of that we're going to be sharing today, but obviously we will be sharing that stuff throughout the coming months as well. But yeah, so yeah, what have we got in store today then, John?
Well, yeah, I mean, apart from the romantic time we had last week, which is lovely in a log cabin, it makes it sound really glamorous. It was actually really lovely. I will share a photo at some point in the chat. It was quite a strange find, wasn't it? It sounds interesting, a log cabin in the middle of a country park, but it was really beautiful spot that we found near Stockport, if anyone's familiar with the UK. So it worked really well for us. But yeah, so it allowed us kind of to talk about a whole host of topics. And some of those, yeah, we will touch on today. We've got in store for today, because we like to make these not only a chance to share some value with you, share some ideas, thoughts about things, also to gather your feedback around how your life is in the academy. We're going to talk about a few academy changes today that we've made. Also, I'll take the opportunity to reiterate, we would love to hear your feedback on your experiences in the academy. So I've got a little form that people can fill in for that. We're going to look ahead very briefly into what we are working on. Connor and myself, most of our time is being spent on what's called the success path. So we'll look into those. We'll do a little preview of workshops that are coming up, free workshops, actually, which are really, really valuable and good if you get the chance to spend your time on them. So we'll talk about that. We're also then going to, I mean, as you'd expect, last week, the digest was swamped with Copilot, and we did talk about it last week in so much as what we've been told is coming up. Now we've had a chance to play with it and look at the reality. We're going to spend some time today just talking through our application, our thought process around how we might apply Copilot, and just sort of look through the business process behind using this Copilot and see if it stacks up, as well as another interesting topic which we'll try and raise, and it might be interesting to get your feedback on whether this is one that you've come across, around something called Signal R, really just around a design principle for Power Apps and other services, I guess, but whether you would use this particular piece. And last off, we have I've got an update on everybody who filled in the user feedback form, and we put everybody into a hat, and I've got an update towards the end around who's got on to the beta testing of the Power Automate step up. So I'll give that as an update towards the end. So yeah, should we start with just some academy changes? And really interested as we chat, share in chat how you're finding the academy, anything you're struggling with, anything you can't find or you'd like to find. Let me and Connor know, because this is a great chance for you to get a bit of live support and we can have a look into it.
Yeah, and just on that as well. So I think just before obviously we kind of jumped to all of these amazing things that we could potentially add to the academy. I think it's just worth pointing out that we do use a third party service to host our academy. So we are in a way limited by some of the features that they provide to us. I think that's been one of the big challenges, isn't it, that we've discussed over the last kind of couple of days when we were away. Is it's very hard to kind of accommodate everybody, accommodate everybody's needs and how they would use the academy. But I think we're going to try our best to do what we can to make the navigation side of everything much easier, to make the way into, like, so John's mentioned the success paths, which are kind of our big kind of learning journeys that we aim to take everybody on. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we know we could potentially change. So we'd love to kind of hear what your kind of experiences are.
Go with it, Connor. Roll with it.
With the academy. I always get my tongue tied.
Experiences are or is? Experiences
is.
Today it's language with Connor and John. We're not right good at it. So can you, shall I just give a quick lowdown, and I'll enhance on that a little bit, Connor. Shall I just give a quick rundown of a couple of changes which may be, in the realms of helpful to people? Hopefully you can see my screen. So, I mean, one of the things we're always really mindful of is we have people who've been with us for years, and the original goal of the academy was to bring together all the content you may have ever purchased or watched with us. And so that's one use case, whereas we also have a lot of people joining us completely fresh and maybe joining us for a particular course or a challenge. And then we also have some wonderful people who are subscribed to the academy and get absolutely everything we can offer all the time. So to Connor's point, we have a platform here which we try to bend to our needs. It doesn't always quite work, but we're always thinking and we're always listening. So do give us your feedback. But yes, Valerie, and it's lovely. It's really fantastic that people choose to stick with us. I mean, we'll be around forever, so it's great that people do choose to stick with us. The first thing we've tried to do a little bit is we're really conscious now. What you're seeing on my screen here is an administrator's view. I get everything. I can see it all. But we're mindful the community is a really useful space. And from feedback, a lot of people use the forum. If you've not used the forum before, you have a question around Microsoft 365 tech, go use the forum, getting some fantastic answers in there. And we really appreciate the feedback that everybody puts into there for the benefit of the community. It's a community space. Connor and I occasionally pick up the interesting ones, and we'll go and prod around and give some answers. But yeah, it's fantastic. You're all serving each other there. I think we have in store, we're not necessarily going to be splitting out the forum in the short term just because of the complexities of what that means. But what we are going to try to do is to try and create spaces around particular learning topics that will help you be able to go to those spaces. And they're these things we'll call success paths, and we'll talk about those in a little while. But one thing we have been able to do is split this left nav down. So you should all hopefully see this. You'll see my content. That gives you your profile. It gives you, if you're a platinum member, it'll give you the platinum exclusive space. But then it'll give you as much as we're able to give you for free in terms of content. So that's where you'd look for your general learning content, things like summits, things like ebooks, that if in the course of you joining, we've been able to give you. So that's a great place to go and look for content. In time, you will see this area grow, the My Success Path. And if you haven't got a success path yet, what is that? It is I'll just share this with you. The idea behind it is it's going to take you from knowing very, very little about a topic to knowing enough to be classified as what we'll call an Academy Pro. It is the succession of a number of courses that we've put together that you can go through in order to achieve the outcome that you're looking for, which in this case is the Power BI Pro. So we're looking to add more of those. So in the future, that's going to be a place we'll change. If you've ever taken one of our Jumpstart challenges, or you're looking for one of these kind of hands-on learning experiences, you've now got the My Challenges area. The Jumpstarts, the Step Up, the Skills Builders, the Pathfinders, as we call them, they're all progressive. These are the things that make up the success paths. So soon enough, you're going to see more success paths, but all the actual content is here under My Challenges. And last but not least, the big change we made last week is all of your workshops, these half-day events that we run, that you've paid for to attend, or you've got a platinum membership to attend, they're all now in the My Workshops area. The last piece we have got separate is the vacation challenge, and as you can see, mine's a little bit confusing, but if you have booked onto that, that will be in your left nav. So we've tried that first step just to separate things out a little bit, and we are going to do more, but we have more content to add before that takes place. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Connor, as I've just quickly shown that through there?
No, I think it's definitely just a step in the right direction. I mean, I know that even as an admin on the site, like I say, we have access to obviously everything, so we need to be able to manage everything. But I think the way things were before, it was very hard to kind of find.
There was a lot, wasn't there? We're really mindful of that.
To find the things that you would want to see, and especially, like I say, as a platinum member who's going to experience almost the same sort of interface, yeah, it definitely kind of solidifies where things are and what things are. So I think that is a step in the right direction, and I think time will tell. And I think you guys as members will be able to tell us whether that is a step in the right direction, or whether we've made it infinitely harder for you.
Hopefully not. Yeah,
it's one of them that's very subjective as well. It's easy for two people to be on the same page about something and make a decision, and then realize that 60-70 other people have find that the changes are worse. So yeah, I think John's just posted a feedback form inside of the chat there as well. So yeah, hopefully we can get as much information about how you guys are using the academy and what you'd like to see. That will help us massively.
So something to add to that, and Valerie's alluded to this actually, I completely agree. The ordering is quite a personal thing, and to Connor's point there, we took a choice to try and order the workshops in almost chronological order from the top going down. So the newest stuff tends to go to the top. However, that said, very much on the horizon is finally our ability to tag and categorize things. And the search in our tool as well is being improved. And what we're hopeful is the combination of tagging to give things, you know, a workshop tag, for example, along with some improvements in search in the platform that we use, will allow everybody to create their own form of what makes sense to them. Now, at the minute, it's not there, and we are constrained a little bit. So if we were to move for alphabetical for everybody, other people whose brains may work chronologically will struggle. But equally, yeah, great feedback, Valerie. Thank you for that. Something we'll take on board and we'll have a think about. But we're really hopeful that very soon we'll get some better searching and sorting options for you to use, which is, you know, that's the perfect option. So yeah, next up, Connor, so success paths, just to give people a bit of insight into this is kind of the preview section of today's digest, isn't it? What have you got on your horizon success path wise or course wise?
So yeah, obviously we've had like I say, we've had a couple of days away, and we've had various live sessions, and obviously very much a small man band rather than a one-man band.
You're not a small man, you're like 7 feet tall, Connor.
It's quite hard to kind of obviously juggle all of these different projects that we're working on, but I've still got the big kind of goal of getting the component pathfinder ready this month and made available, which is obviously all about components. And again, for those that joined my Poker Live, you'll notice that I use components a little bit there in terms of that build, so you could kind of see how useful that they would be. But yeah, the Pathfinder really kind of goes more in depth into how you can use them, how you can utilize them across apps and within apps to solve some some common repetitive things that you would usually be doing within your apps in Power Apps. And also you get to build some really cool components as well, and navigation features for your apps, which you can reuse, which is really, really cool. But yeah, that's again, that's ongoing, and like I say, hopefully I'll have that done before my trip to Amsterdam this month.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, won't it? Which is in a few weeks' time. That'd be really good. Yeah, and sort of on that topic of things just crossing the line, we've just now, and as of today, I'll do the announcement, we will allow access to the Power Automate Step Up Challenge, which is the way that we pitch these things for anybody new to it. Is we have the jump starts, which is novice. You can get in, you can do it, you can put hands on a keyboard. They're bite-sized courses, so you can take pieces of it in a break or whatever, but the idea is you build your skills and you build some solutions as you're doing it. So they're really nice ways, if you like to learn by doing, following our blue model, our build it, learn it, use it, enhance it model. So this step up challenge, what I've focused on is taking Power Automate and then building on one of its core use cases, which is around approvals, and trying to give more flexibility to you, more skills as you build up your Power Automate portfolio to kind of create pathways in your flows, create customizations in what you're asking, use a few of the tools that are not immediately obvious in Power Automate to enhance those approvals. And the use case I've selected is an expenses approval solution. So actually you get to build a bit of forms, a bit of SharePoint, put the forms on SharePoint, and then you get to use Power Automate, which I hope is quite fun. So I am going to release at the end of today on this call to 10 people to go and beta test, and as quick as they get through it, I'll be able to launch that to the wider world, and anybody who's platinum will get that by default. But equally, you'll be able to grab yourself a space on it. So really looking forward to that. The other thing I should mention, if you're into data, is again, I'm progressing now. I've pretty much got 2/3 of it done with help from Jessica Jolly. She's done a fantastic job around data modeling. If data is your thing and data modeling is a bit confusing in Power BI, she's given you, or she's going to be giving you, a toolkit of skills to take with you through your Power BI journey if you are a data modeler. So that's imminent and should be out, I would say, probably end of October, early November time for you to look at. So some really good meaty stuff there to get hold of and have a look into. But if you're interested in any of that, give us a shout. I'm happy to talk about it till the cows come home.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm quite excited. I've very excited to kind of see where this kind of especially the Power Automate one. I mean, Power BI, I've always said this isn't my forte. But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see where you've taken this Power Automate one, because I don't really know too much about the kind. Obviously, I know that you're progressing it along, but not really sure kind of where that's going to go. So yeah, I'm quite excited.
I should maybe put you on the beta test list, and you'll get to experience it. I can force you through it then. But yeah, I found it really interesting, actually. I mean, some of the things in Power Automate that don't immediately stand out for people, we get that it's, it's a little workflow automation, but thinking about expressions and thinking about some of the kind of development practices that you might not immediately recognize as a citizen developer, like caring for the data that's going through your flows. If you want to do calculations, they need to be numbers. If you want to do things with text, they need to be tidied up. Dealing with things like that has been quite interesting for me. And also then you found this with Power Apps, I think, this week, when you have scenarios where you might have a piece of data and there might be multiple options, and based upon what's selected, you want to choose some different pathways. Discovering the switch in Power Automate has been really interesting for me to kind of share that with people. And you can get really complicated flows if you're not careful, but certainly going above and beyond the sort of the normal two-way pathways in Power BI.
Yeah, started seeing or learning some new formulas in Power Apps. I mean, I think with Power Apps, what I've noticed is you always find that you use the same sort of formulas for most things, because you're able to achieve most of the things that you want to achieve with things like patch and conditions using if formulas, and all the normal ones that you use. But yeah, I've really started kind of expanding my own knowledge now in Power Apps. I think I introduced the with formula which was an interesting one last week. Or the week before. So yeah, that was again, that's a new thing. You've got for and for all as well, which is like for loops and things. So yeah, I'm really kind of diving into to more data centric kind of formulas that allow you to kind of manipulate and choose things without kind of having to wrap everything in these kind of if conditions, which is the kind of directive that I was going in before. So yes, it's all good learning.
It is, yeah. I'm just reflecting on some of that chat at the moment in the chat window. It might be a topic we could pick out actually for one of our digests, is just to have a look at loops and conditional flows in Power Apps, because that could be a really interesting topic just to go and sort of lift the lid on a little bit. You know, as you've correctly said, you've learned quite a lot. I know you were experimenting with Switch in Power Apps and the with, and yeah, we should perhaps put that on the table for one of our digest weeks. Noted. I shall make a note of that one. Let's do that.
Yeah, there was also, whilst you're doing that, just I remember there was a session. Now obviously we've got 320 something sessions in our summit bundle, but it's still a really valuable session, and I'd have to dig it out. But there was a session, probably it might have been GlobalCon 4 at the time, where somebody did an entire session on basically how to avoid apply to eaches in Power Automate. Because obviously apply to eaches can be
really important,
very complex to kind of deal with, and especially when you're trying to diagnose things later on. Apply to eaches are very hard to kind of resurface to kind of see what information was passed in. But yeah, there was a really great session on basically how to minimize apply to eaches and some of the things that you can do to really kind of get specific things or specific records that you want to edit.
Yeah, there's the use of select in that case. For anyone who's not used Power Automate too much, the overriding principle is that whilst Power Automate is it's a visual code engine. Effectively, you're creating steps visually, and behind the scenes there is code running. The overriding advice that you get given is when you start to build these loops in your Power Automate, really think carefully, because everything visual has an overhead in terms of performance. And I had a demonstration by a chap who showed the value of using select versus an apply to each, and the incredible performance impact it had in his use case, where you could see the time of the Power Automate flow was running for like 50 seconds or 60 seconds versus using selects took all that away. So that, again, that's another demo we could perhaps do at some point.
Just on Wayne Wallace's question there, it says, are you going to try for another GlobalCon this year? Now, we probably aren't going to be looking at GlobalCon this year. However, we did have a chat again whilst we were away about a potential event in the future. Obviously no dates and things have been set, but it did kind of come up in conversation with the team. So yeah, I mean, we'd be interested in knowing potentially the sort of things that sort of topics that you may want to see at a potential future event. I don't think we're looked to run anything like we did with Teams Takeover, where it's like a month-long event. It'll be a much more kind of shorter time frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, interested to maybe understand some of the needs for some topics to discuss. I mean, we've got a huge array of speakers that are always willing to speak for us. So yeah, I mean, planning another event is potentially on the table.
It is, yeah. I mean, we have some ideas around that, and I've been chatting to I don't think it's any secret to say this, I've been chatting to Mark Cashman as well about some of the enhancements in the services we use all day long, things like SharePoint, things like lists. And the idea, I mean, the core concept around AI introduction to some of these Microsoft services could be something we focus on. Again, very interested to hear people's thoughts on. We see a lot about AI, and I know it might be one of those things that we get jaded with, but we were considering and looking at topics around Microsoft 365 where AI can help us, how we do that, what's on the horizon with SharePoint and those kind of services. So yeah, very intrigued to hear what your feelings might be around something in that area.
Yeah, just Valerie again's just mentioned I missed our AMA events we did earlier. Were those not a huge hit or something? So yeah, they are. They tend to be some of our most interactive sessions, because obviously it gives you guys the free will to kind of ask the questions that you want to ask. But yeah, I mean, we can perhaps look into to arranging something. But as I just mentioned in my chat there, in my message, it's quite hard to logistically to get 4 good speakers that are usually in various locations all together to kind of form a panel. But yeah, it's something that we can look into.
It absolutely is. Yeah, noted. Again, it's all really good feedback. It's something you'll often see this. We try things, and the things that become slightly lower overhead on the small team but seem to be supportive for you all, we will do again. Where the overhead is slightly higher, we have to be a bit more hesitant about it. So it's kind of just making sure we get that balance, isn't it, between getting your involvement and equally allowing us to put them on nice and easily and regularly. Yeah, it's interesting. Love to know how AI can help us. Yeah, I mean, this is what we're all about that, Wayne, about not just the topics, not just the features, and hopefully today what we'll show you will be a little bit along this theme, how in reality these things might work for you. And I think that's what we want to showcase a little bit, whether it will, around Copilot today. So just before we do, Connor, is it worth, I'll just quickly touch on the workshops we've got coming up for this week. So I'll just cover those and then we can move to Copilot, because I'm just conscious of time. We may skip SignalR, but it may be something we come back. I just want to put into chat, has anybody ever heard or used SignalR, or a use case for SignalR? I might just type in the term just in case it's not making sense. We're just really interested. It's something that came onto our radar last week. Interesting. Okay. While you consider that, so we have got coming up, and I really encourage you, if you're into making your life easier, come to Jennifer's session tomorrow. It's at 3 p.m. UTC, so the same time as this call started. It's around Outlook and around inbox overwhelm and around getting skills and tips and into the headspace of not letting your inbox overwhelm you. Last time Jennifer did a fantastic session, really well received and well enjoyed. That's now in Platinum Exclusives if you want to see it, but this is the continuation. It's happening tomorrow at this time. What else have we got? Oh, sorry, Connor, a lot of talking from me. I chatted to Kelly Edinger on Friday, and she's going to be delivering her contract management session on October the 18th, which I'm dead excited about. It's how to use Power Automate again, but also how to use it with documents to get information automatically populating in documents, which takes a little bit of shenanigans, and Kelly's going to demystify that. Again, it's a free session. Come along to it. Have a look in the events calendar if you've not already spotted it. Please send out a red alert for tomorrow. Yes, we will make sure that that is announced 30 minutes before, because that seems to work for you all to make sure that you can get the right reminder. It's going to be awesome, that one.
Yeah, just on that SignalR question that you've just brought up as well. So I mean, I asked this to the viewers during my poker workshop, and again, it was a topic that not many people really know about, and perhaps may not even kind of understand as a concept that actually exists when I brought this up. But yeah, essentially, I mean, how would you describe? What would be the best way to describe SignalR without being too overly complex? Because as a concept, I mentioned this to you earlier, until you need it, you don't realize that it is a thing and you need it. Yeah, how would you best describe it, John?
So, okay, I'm going to take 2 steps back first of all and say that SignalR is a thing which exists in the depths of Microsoft services that they offer to you. It's in Azure, or Azure, depending how you pronounce it. It's a service that you can exploit. It takes a little bit of work to exploit this service, but it's there. Like a lot of things in Microsoft, they will surface things for us in nice round packages that they can market well. But this is one of those services that we probably, most of us, including Connor and myself, have never touched, never felt the need to touch, never needed. Until we had a chat with Mark, and he said, if you imagine you're collaboratively updating a Word document, that's your use case. You're playing around with an Excel sheet, or you're playing around with something where there's more than one of you, maybe a number of you in a team. And you imagine the overhead that you would place upon your app, the communication traffic, the underlying databases. Perhaps if at every single point a person changed something, there had to be a forced communication or a poll between those two locations. Signal R's there to basically open up a channel between two things in real time and ensure that those two things remain in sync and communicating correctly. So it's almost, I see it like almost like a switchboard that remains open. It's an information broker that we can exploit, strangely enough, in Power Apps and all those services. So I don't know if that makes sense, Carl. That's how I describe it. It's a piece of tech to keep you plugged into your source and all of those changes in real time. I've just noticed Mark's comment there. In the gaming industry, yes, real-time updates.
Yeah, I think the other example which I've heard, which might help again, kind of put it into perspective as to what it is a little bit better as well, is exactly what you guys are doing right now inside of this meeting chat. So, I mean, talking as a developer, if we was to build, for example, an entire chat system inside of Power Apps or in Teams or wherever it might be, you got to imagine that we've got how many people here? 14 people in chat today that are all. I
bet Signal R's being used for this, to be honest.
Yeah, it's all being all these messages are being sent, and for those that are Power Apps developers will know that to retrieve any information directly from wherever it's stored, we have to do what's called a refresh, the refresh formula. We have to refresh whether it be a list, a table, something in SQL database, whatever it might be. We have to refresh that data so our app can then see it. And that's kind of a common thing. And I mean, there's ways around it, and you've seen me probably do this in various sessions where we can do things on timer events, so we can kind of refresh every kind of 10 seconds or however long we choose. But that can be really taxing on the kind of processing that's going on. So basically what happens is Signal R is making the call directly from the data rather from the interface where it's used. So instead of us sitting here in chat typing away and there being a constant refresh happening to go, oh, has Sydney sent a message? Has Mark sent a message? Has Connor sent a message? And wait and kind of and then sharing that information, what it's doing is it's checking the database side of things, and it's waiting for something to change, and that could be anything. So whenever, for example, Sydney types a message, it goes, right, is there a new entry here where Sydney's typed a message? If there has, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push all of those changes down to all of the users that are inside of this chat room, so everybody can see Sydney's message in real time as she sends it. I think that kind of hopefully makes a little bit more sense as to what Signal R is. It's more data controlled rather than interface controlled.
I think that's sense, yeah.
One of the big things with Power Apps, which I found myself kind of wanting to do more and more often.
I'd be super interested if people do discover use cases for something like this. I mean, I'm kind of guessing it might be an edge case because of the fact that we've built dozens and dozens of apps, haven't we? We've never really encountered the need, but I can imagine real-time updates in an inspection system, for example. If there's, maybe there's an inspection update over here, requires then an action over here, requires a different site to be doing something. I'll let the word go forth, Connor. I think, yeah, I can see a use case in that field. I can see a use case for chat in Power Apps potentially, and video refreshes, which is what Mark's done, hasn't he? So, yeah, really interested to kind of hear what people's thoughts are, whether they might be inclined to reach for something like that now you've heard about it.
I think another thing to kind of point out, and this is probably how I would kind of best know if I needed to utilize it, is anything where time-based accuracy is important. For example, you might not need to know about a new record in a list for 5-10 minutes. Maybe you don't need to know till tomorrow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need to kind of look for this approach, but anything where kind of time-based accuracy is important, where down to a few seconds or a second, you need to know about something, and that's where that use case comes in. And again, for those that are following my poker build, And this kind of goes for any game that you kind of make. It's one of the big things is obviously if it's a multiplayer game, or again, you might not be a game, it could be a general solution where users are interacting with each other. Anything where you need to receive real-time updates from a user. For example, for my poker game, it was okay, I need to know whose hand it is. It's not I need to know whose hand it is. Everybody needs to know whose go it is, whose turn it is. Everybody needs to know when the player has won, who has won, and they need to know that in real time. They can't be waiting for updates that might potentially refresh at different points in the kind of flow of work that kind of happens there. So that's where kind of SignalR is going to be really important. Now, I just kind of want to point out as well that even though that we're talking about SignalR, it's a very new topic for I think most of us, as you've seen when we just asked you. But again, for me and John as well, this is a fairly new thing as well. And I did highlight this in my poker build, but I think I'm going to stick to this kind of polling method at the moment in terms of how I'm using timers and stuff to refresh and update, because I think I'm interested to see where the challenges lie with that. And then we can always refactor and change things on a later episode. So that is all to come during my poker build as well. So
yeah, it's an interesting little diversion though, isn't it? Is that perfect architectural principle versus the reality of needing to build an app, which is not gonna really need those technologies, but may do in the future. It's going to be an interesting one to learn about and to navigate. Should we do Copilot, Connor? We've got like 20 minutes or so left. We can go over a little bit, but I appreciate people will mostly stick around for the hour.
yeah.
Show a little dig into Copilot. Show of hands, who's actually got what's called Copilot or was Windows Copilot? I'm just interested to see who's got Windows 11 and is using it.
So yeah, there was obviously we said that the update was going to come on Monday last week. I don't think we got it until I think the Friday here in the UK. Obviously it was a rollout, so that doesn't mean everything's going to be updated all at once. So yeah, you might not have had it yet. You might. So
yeah, I got it on the Tuesday, the day it was advertised. However, it has changed since installing. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, so far none of the audience have played around with this. We've had a bit of a play, and it's a play from the context of watching and learning. And I know we've got on Wednesday, haven't we, the watch party for the launch event, watching what was described versus what we've received. And I think there's the good and the bad and the ugly. Is not a spoiler, really, is it? So I just very quickly, Connor, just go through those setup steps for people, just to share how you get this thing if you've not got it. Right, so yes, and that's the first question. Let me try now. I'm going to try and share from my laptop, so we'll see how this goes. This may not go very well. Okay, that's good. There we go. Can you all see my laptop there? You can. Wonderful. So the first thing to note is that if you go to settings and you go to, I think it's system and about, if I can remember where I'm going. Yes, what you're looking for is this. You're looking for 23H2. That is your indicator that you've received the update, which is including all of the Copilot extras. If you don't think you've got it, or you want to have a look, you can just type updates, go check for updates and click that check for updates. You'll see there I've got mine always on, but you can do that. And I noticed it didn't actually give me anything to say you're getting Copilot. It just said here's a big package of updates, and then it was there. Now the thing that most people will get is if you go to your personalization when you first do this, and you go to your taskbar, most people will see, I don't know if you noticed that, just pop up down here, that is the Copilot icon down there. You'll notice I have mine turned off, just because for me, the easier way to launch it is the Windows key and C. So hopefully you saw that pop up there. Yeah, so Connor, I think you're absolutely right. I did have to do that update check a number of times. Apologies for my desktop. That's quite a quite a gamey desktop there. So I don't know why I did that. I normally have quite a sober desktop. Anyway, so you get it, and there's probably a couple of things that I would say. So I'm using the Windows key and C. A couple of things to point out. It is imperfect. 100% it is imperfect because it's fresh. I've written a blog about this that I'll send you a link to. It's a really new product, and it doesn't yet do all the things that it was promised to do. But a couple of things that you can know to keep yourself kind of on the right side of it, so to speak, is that you've got the ellipse here. If you ever get stuck, which it does get stuck, you can just click that refresh icon, and that'll give you a clean interface to go back and restart your conversation. It does happen. It goes down rabbit holes. The other thing that I do, and this is the same for Bing, is I use the more precise option. And the reason I use that is because we can't be 100% sure, but my belief is that behind the scenes, it's using the latest ChatGPT model, GPT-4, and all that good latest model language, rather than probably the more balanced, which is the slightly older models. It's slightly quicker, slightly less intensive, but slightly less precise. So that's just something to point out there that I wanted to share with you. The other good thing I did notice is that you've got the microphone down here. I'm not going to do it because I've got my microphone turned off. Click that, you speak to it, and it'll transcribe it pretty accurately, and it'll give you really good answers. So it is quite a nice thing to just click that little microphone, have a conversation with it. Don't be freaked out. It does speak back to you, which I find quite strange. But a couple of little usability tips. The only other one I'm going to share with you. Let's just get a new browser. Let's just pull that up. We'll go into that one. If you ever do this, it might be quite confusing. Don't use Bing in Edge and Copilot alongside each other, because you end up with these two what appear to be identical chat windows, and you do that and you ain't got the foggiest where you've got to. So just a usability tip, if you're using Copilot there, just keep Bing closed down, otherwise it will just get you massively confused, as I've just done there.
The reason for that as well is Copilot is an app that is linked to your Microsoft profile that you're logged in with. So if you are logged in with in your browser with a certain email address, and you're logged into Windows with a certain email address, you're technically using the same version. All of your chat history and your prompts that you're using are stored in the history, and you can actually access that later on as well if you do choose to. So that's kind of why there is that kind of weird thing where, like John's mentioned, if you have both of them open, you can have some issues, because you're technically trying to have two conversations with the same bot.
Yeah, it is a bit odd, but I mean, I think for me, what they're trying to do, the thing here that's happening is trying to encourage us to stay in the flow of work within the Windows device domain, rather than use the browser to launch AI tools. I think the goal is not to give us loads and loads of new tools yet, but to change our behaviors. So we start to think about using the Windows key and C, the Copilot, versus go to Bing and use that. I think it is a precursor to the Microsoft 365 Copilot that will give us a lot more features and capability, but isn't there yet. So so some interesting things that we've noticed. I mean, the big things it really talks about are it can control your system. We'll talk about that in a minute. It does some things with images, and Connor's going to do some work on that in a moment. And it can do things around taking images and extract text, which I've got a short demo I can give you. At the moment, it is quite light in terms of feature sets, which I think is a little bit disappointing. However, it is MVP, isn't it? Should we look at the main kind of selling point, Connor, the imagery, the image work, and have a little play with that?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. You just mentioned that. So I saw a blog post this morning, and it was Microsoft Copilot, the tool that gets you 5% the way there. And basically inside of the inside of the blog post, it's kind of funny. It was kind of pointing out all the things that we were supposed to be getting or potentially be getting in the future that aren't currently available, and that is a little bit kind of lackluster of. But
yeah. But you've
yeah,
got to kind of see it as, I know we have slightly differing opinions on this. For me, you've got to see it as, I think, the landing pad that's attached itself to your moon base. And eventually we're going to get some bloody great rockets on land and a lovely city. But right now, it's a landing pad with a little guy in a suit going, I'm here. That's where I think it is. That said,
that's
though, there are some
exactly it.
pretty cool things. You are.
I says yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So yeah, I thought we could close off today with just a little bit of fun. So I mean, this is available inside of the Bing version if you don't have Windows Copilot, but it's a great opportunity to test out both of them. And we're going to do a little bit of an interactive image generation sort of game, if you like, just to kind of see how accurate some of this image generation is. So a lot of you have obviously seen or heard that DALL-E or DALL-E 3 is the latest generation of image generation for Copilot, and you can do some pretty incredible stuff. And I was having to play around with it earlier just to kind of see what I could kind of come up with, and see what I can actually do to images. And one thing that I thought was really cool is that, I mean, I'm in no means a photo editor. I mean, I can edit photos, but I don't do much graphics design in terms of building amazing scenes and stuff like that. And I think this is just a really creative thing that you can do with words, essentially. So what we're going to do...
Shall I follow along, Connor? Sorry, shall I put it on screen and I have a go?
I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Okay, cool.
To just kind of highlight some stuff. So hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
And this is just something that I created inside of DALL-E 3 using the image creator. And you can do this via Copilot as well. You can actually type stuff in. Essentially, you can see here that I've got a prompt on the right hand side, and it's not the most descriptive of prompts, but it gives me a image which to me does exactly what the prompt says. As you can see, it says a castle in the middle of a forest on an autumn rainy day, and that's sort of what we've got. We've got a castle in a forest. We've got them kind of orangey red colours for the autumnness of it. We can see that we've got a nice black cloud up here with some rain, and it does a really good job of generating a kind of photorealistic version of the words that I've used. But then I was thinking, okay, so we can do that, and I could go and generate as many images as I want. But what if I wanted to keep the same prompts and have a go at adding or removing or changing the kind of prompts that are designing this image without too much extra effort? So I kind of approached this with my creative hat on, and yeah, I tried to get a little bit obscure with the prompts just to see what came up. So you can see on this next one that all I did is I added with an army of elf warriors with tanks.
And now, did you do that in the context of, so this is the bit that might be useful to the watchers, in the context of Copilot, Connor? Was that all in the flow of the same conversation?
Yes. So you get 30 chats per conversation that you can make. So essentially you can make 30 adjustments to your image. Now this first part of the prompt here, a castle in the middle of the forest on an autumn rainy day, I didn't actually type this in. All I said was add an army of elf warriors with tanks. And it knew about my previous image, it knew about the previous prompt, and it was able to essentially create me a new image with my new prompt in. So you can see this is, again, if you're still going with that kind of photorealistic look, it's very artistic, something that I would never be able to draw in a million years. But you can see how it picks up those prompts, and it gets pretty in depth. So I took things a little bit further, and I had a look at a few different variations, as you can see. So we've got a few different variations of it here. And then I decided to type in, turn this into a post-apocalyptic setting. So we're going from that kind of nicely built castle now to a post-apocalyptic castle. But again, all I did, I said, change this to be a post-apocalyptic castle or a post-apocalyptic setting. And that's what it did. It knew about my tanks and my elves, which okay, it doesn't quite look like an elf that we've got here, but it's trying to do its best to accommodate the prompts that I've given it. So we can see now that we've got that kind of rustic look around the castle. These tanks look like they've been sat there for a few hundred years, not moving at all. And you can see that we've got a few different prompts. And then again, bringing out the inner creativity in me, I decided let's go have a look and see if we can add some Jedis having a fight. So I said let's add 3 Jedi masters fighting each other, and that's what we got. And again, I got a couple of different variations of that. And then I decided, okay, one last thing. Let's see how really creative we can get. Let's add a land octopus. What was the prompt that I used here? Where are we? A giant land octopus breaking apart the ground and attacking the people. And again, you can see how this is all built on top of that original image. It's using that to kind of give you that kind of photorealistic style of image generation from the prompts that you're using. And I was able to create this literally just using words. So the last couple of minutes, I wanted to see if you guys can generate a scene. AI in general scares me a bit.
It's a really interesting debate, isn't it, Connor, where it's getting these artifacts from? You know, do you get any references, or is it simply scraping existing images that it believes to be castles in a forest and borrowing from them? Because I think Valerie makes a very valid point that a lot of people will be thinking is, what's the IP on these things? How do we protect what we've got?
So what I will do is, I mean, I think that's a good thing that you've just said there. I mean, I think a lot of it is based on obviously image search results, and AI is powerful enough now to detect shapes and objects. We know that. I think John's even been able to do it using some of the Microsoft AI builder stuff. I think he was basically asking if things were coasters or not, and it was able to detect that. So it trains itself to know what something should look like. And I think
true.
With time, I think it's only going to get better as these prompts become. Well, obviously more images will be available on the internet, more prompts. It'll have a bigger library to kind of surface things from. So yeah, I want you guys to have a quick go at just generating some form of scene, and you can make it as crazy as you like. You can add a setting, you can add a landscape, you can say whether it's day or night time, you can add objects, you can perhaps add characters. I'd like you to have a go at building a scene similar to what we've got here, using your own prompts, and I want to share the image inside of today's chat. And what we'll do is we'll have a bit of competition. We're going to see if anybody can guess the prompt that has been used.
Assuming you would like, because nobody's got Copilot installed, assuming you're suggesting people open up Edge and use Bing for this, which is the same engine.
If you don't have the Windows Copilot, you can use Edge for this. But I'd like you to just spend a minute, just try and generate an image. It does take a little bit of time to come through, and just post your images into chat, and then using the reply feature inside of the Teams chat, I want you to reply to each image and see if we can guess what the prompts are, because I'm really interested to see if just words that we can write that generate an image is given the sort of the effect that we want people to see from the images that we create.
It's an interesting experiment, isn't it?
Give that a go. I'm gonna draw out a new one. I'm gonna come up with an idea and see what we have.
While people do that, shall I just share a couple of other features that we've pulled out from Copilot that may be of use to people in the real world?
Yeah.
I'll just go through that. I am just doing my image as well at the same time, so I'm just going to let this finish because I have actually just asked it for. You'll see what I've asked it for in a moment. But while you do that, while you have a little play, in fact, I may just stop that prompting going on. I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, that's interesting. So this is where I find it very interesting. I will show you my experience with it, and I kind of expected this, to be honest. Let's just share my screen. Okay. So, I mean, no spoiler alert, I copied Connor's prompt there. You'll see castle in the middle of a forest on an autumn rainy day. I'll try to create that, make it a sunny day. So you can see it's natural language. And then I said, add me cats into all windows. Now, I found this before, actually. That first one is utter garbage for me. That's not at all what I'm after. But this one actually isn't too stupid. It's kind of has got a castle. I changed it to a sunny day. I have got castles in the window. Sorry, cats in the window. So that's interesting. Anyway, what I did want to show you was that one of the things that I do find could be quite useful, and I know we've got a lot of tools to do this and I speak about them a lot, is the ability to scrape text from images. So to do that with this new tool, I have to use, let me get this right, Windows key, Shift and S. That pulls up the snipping tool. But then whenever you copy something, you get the ability to add that copied image by default into the chat. So I'm going to do that, which is great. However, if I now go into the snipping tool, that's not worked at all, has it? Let me just try that once more. I think I did it wrong. Windows Shift and S. Let's just snip. I think I missed a step. Yes, I did. I need to find my snipping window. Where are you? Bear with me. Where's my snipping window? That's not worked at all. I wonder if it's come sharing. What you are able to do, and I do assure you it does work, is that when you do that Windows Shift and S and snip, in the snipping window, I'll see if I can show you this. Yeah, I can't really very easily. Let's just try it there. Yeah, because it's not going to pop up due to some privacy settings, I think, on the stream. There is a little icon which is called text actions. When you click that, you get this kind of Google Lens experience, and it will pull all the text out for you. So I encourage you, when you get Copilot, go and do it. It won't work on my screen, unfortunately, at the moment, but it was able to pull all the text. And then it was asking me if I'd like to redact text, if I'd like to copy text. And I just thought, for me, as the early launch for Copilot, that's one of the tools that I could see myself using to grab text off a web page and say, summarize that, for example, give me a quick table which has all of the listed items on that page, just to quickly grab information from a web page. So unfortunately that didn't work. Let's just see if I've got any other little goodies. How are we getting on with the image generation, Connor?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any in chat at the moment. I know
Can't create your images right now.
Valerie's got an issue with yeah, I've noticed that sometimes this can happen. I noticed that I tried generating about 6 or 7 images at once, and it threw a tantrum at me, which is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it does that. I mean, yeah, it's perhaps just some people, it's worthwhile having an experiment. It may well be we've run into some weird little Copilot glitch where some rollouts being made. One of the other things I would encourage people to try, and we've done this on a live show before, is we've been working with SharePoint, haven't we? And we've been using JSON, and we've had some problems with formatting columns and images with JSON. But I found today, again, another experiment using, let's just get a JSON snippet. In fact, let's just ask this. Give me a JSON snippet for a button in SharePoint. Let's just try that.
My image generation has failed too.
Have we broken it? Have we broken Copilot?
It could just be that time of day where it's just a huge demand on the server at the moment.
Could well be. The idea of using things like this in the flow of work, so getting a JSON snippet, that's great. And I think probably what it's going to give me there, I could probably lift and shift and put into SharePoint. But the better use case for me that I've written about in the blog post is when you're scratching your head to try and get your JSON right. And we've got JSON Beautify, we've got all those great tools, but you've probably done this more than I have. You've put a comma out of place, you've put a square bracket out of place. Simply copying something from a page, so let's just say it's on my page here, copying it and popping it into here and saying fix this, in the flow of work I can really see Copilot's going to be helpful. You've seen what it's done there for me. It's created JSON, but also correcting JSON it's quite good for, and I'm sure the same is true of other code languages. So it's just one that I wanted to kind of point out there, that I think in time for us, the idea of the flow of work, that will become really, really useful. I think it's something we'll use. Oh, we've got some images coming through. What am I showing, Sydney? I was just showing the JSON window on the right hand side there. Sorry, the Copilot window, creating some JSON for me. But equally, you can put stuff into there and ask it to correct it. Well, let's stop that because it's perhaps confusing why you're all trying to do images. So I think, what have we got here?
So I'm gonna guess. I mean, I could be going the complete wrong way. There's definitely something with the maze going on here. There's definitely something with either a human bull / minotaur /
Minotaur, yeah.
a businessman minotaur. I'm interested.
Yeah, all I'm getting is Minotaur and mazes. Some crazed minds at play there.
Does anyone want to have a go at guessing what Valerie has typed?
A Minotaur sat on a chair thinking about a business problem and not sure which way to turn. Posh Minotaur sitting in an armchair in the centre of his labyrinth. Very nice. Posh. Nice.
So yeah, you used the term labyrinth. It's interesting that it's given you a maze there, which is really cool. But yeah, again, I think it just blows me away how creative some of this stuff is, and it's something I mentioned to you earlier, wasn't it, John? That I mean, again, for those that know me a little bit more, is I've done a bit of games development, and one of the biggest things about games development is, or the hardest things to do is the 3D modeling of things. And I think it's not going to be long. I genuinely don't think it's going to be long before we are able to not only just create images, because let's be honest, AI with this image generation has the idea of perspective, and in a kind of 3D environment. We're not getting 2D generated images here. We are getting the 3D photorealistic elements. And I think it's not going to be long before we can use prompts to perhaps build 3D objects that perhaps we could use in an AR environment or inside of a game, or for movie producers to be able to add 3D elements into their movies and get the models that they need for them and everything. I think that is probably within a year away. Is going to be my guess.
Yeah,
essentially, exactly that. I think it's not going to be long because, like I say, we have got this idea of perspective now. It knows about 3D environments. It's able to kind of add these images. I mean, we've got essentially what Valerie's got there is 3 different prompts. We've got a Minotaur. It needs to know what a Minotaur looks like. We've got different angles for the Minotaur. We've also got the armchair itself. We've got the different aspects of the labyrinth and the room that it's in. So it's aware of this kind of 3D perspective. But yeah, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to say by this time next year, and I'd like to all remember this date, by this time next year, we are going to have... Connor predicts that we are going to have...
Is this a new format for our live show? We've not only had language with Connor and John, we've now got Connor predicts.
Connor predicts. We're going to have 3D renderable and exportable objects that we can import as .fbx's or .mods for things like games, for things like video work and CGI, and also again, like Mark just said there, like 3D printing, CAD files and stuff that we can export as well. I genuinely think that is going to be on the table in the near future.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong there, Connor. Hey, look, as ever, we've overshot our hour, but there is one other thing I just wanted to announce for those that might just watch this on the YouTube channel afterwards, but if not, I will make an announcement in the Academy, is that all of the people who filled in the 365 a voice last week are now officially going to be getting an invite into the beta test program for the Power Automate Step Up. So I know a couple of people who will be particularly delighted about that. I am going to let that go through a test cycle. And then at the end of that, we're going to have we'll have another competition which will allow people to win a free space on the finished article that's been tested. So yes, thank you very much for all that feedback. It was genuinely really valued. And I am just going to pop the link in once more, not because I want to open up more spaces on the beta, but I just really, we really appreciate, he gets his laptop out of the way, the feedback that you give us to help us improve and change and adapt. So if you do have time and you're watching today and you think I want to give these guys some feedback, please do. Whether it's about us or the Academy itself, we're very interested in your experiences with the Academy and how we can help you. So please do fill that in. In the coming weeks, there will be another competition. So I think we're at the end again, Connor, aren't we? The end of Monday.
We are run a little bit over today, but I think that's fine. And we've there's a lot to share today. There's a lot of discussion that's been had, and there's a lot of changes that are being made and coming to the Academy. And I think it's important that we share that with our community. Yeah,
it is. And I think we will share more on Copilot over the coming weeks, but we'll switch our attention to other topics. Probably on the 1st of November, when the Microsoft 365 Copilot starts to land, we'll get ourselves onto some trials and we'll have a look at what that does as well, because that is a big step change, I think. Yeah, sorry, it's not the end of Monday for you. You just started. I mean, the end of Monday's delightful live show where Connor and John make words up. But yes.
But yeah, again, one last thing before we dip is obviously I mentioned about the watch party on Wednesday as well. So if you're interested in Copilot in more depth from the real experts that have announced and released all this stuff, then we're going to be doing a watch party on Wednesday, so 2 days time, where we'll be showing basically their showcase for the live event that they did last week or the week before. So yeah, you'll really get all of the latest directly from them, and we can watch it together and have a big discussion about it. So cool. Yeah, you can find it on the events calendar and RSVP for that.
Have a great week all. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Wednesday, if not Wednesday, Friday. So we're on live lots this week. So yeah, look out for us. See you around in the Academy and have a great rest of your day, everybody. Lovely to spend time with you. Cheers, Connor.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care all. Bye-bye.